Zooms there is you don't even hear the background. Like my dog can bark right beside me and nobody even
Oh,
hears
okay.
it. Yeah, so they don't even have to worry. It's pretty
Oh,
amazing.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to get him to bark. Oh, what a cutie. Aw. All right, you can let them in, Courtney.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the right presenter view on the Canva. It's in presenter view and not in the right mode. I haven't presented from Canva yet.
Oh.
Let's see, present.
Yeah, you don't need presenter. You just need regular, like whatever the first one is, because you don't need notes.
Okay, I think I got it.
All right. Do you want to test? Share your screen?
Let's see.
I don't got nothing yet.
I know, it's because I have to close the screen. Okay, let's see. Maybe it's gonna work anyways.
That's why we get on a little early in case there's technical issues.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is admit everyone because I can't do both at the same time. I'm gonna admit everyone, then I'm gonna go to presenter view and then share my screen.
Okay, perfect. All right.
There we go.
Um, all right. Welcome, welcome. Everybody's coming in. There you go. Yeah. So once we hit the last one, Courtney, you can just close it off and then we can just see everybody's faces. So, all right. And let me know when we've got most people in and then we can get started. And for all of you on our panel today, if you want to just drop your website, if you have it, into the chat, and then people can check it out if they want to, as we're kind of loading in here.
We've got everyone from the waiting room in, so we can probably.
Okay, get started. All right. Okay, so welcome everyone. It's so great to see all of you. This is our third month of our farmer chat series, and really, really enjoying these just, talking to farmers about real farming and the issues around farming and organic farming and answering all sorts of questions each time. So, before we get started, our guests today, they have gone ahead and they've dropped some of their links into the chat there, so you can take a look at that. And I'd like to also do a land acknowledgement. So I'd like to, and that's the next slide there, Courtney. Oh, Courtney, next slide.
I have it shown on mine, is it not?
No.
It says, okay.
All right. Well, as she gets that going, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the people that are on our panel today. So our first panel member is Lynn Van Hoffen, and he comes to us from Southbrook Organic Vineyards at Niagara-on-the-Lake. And he's the manager at Southbrooks, which is a biodynamic and regenerative vineyard. How many acres are you there, Lynn? I don't actually have it here, your acreage.
150 in total, 5,700 grapes.
Okay, all right. And then he focuses on soil health, biodiversity, and low impact growing practices that support both grape quality and ecosystem vitality. And so I think you've dropped the Southbrook Farms website into the chat there. We've also got Patricia Kozowyk, and she's from Bobolink Farm in Flamborough. And Patricia manages a diverse perennial farm with berries, Asian pears, herbs, edible flowers, and integrative native species for biodiversity. Oh, that sounds so, so lovely, Patricia. How many acres are you on there? I'm guessing it's kind of a small setup.
The whole farm is 10 acres, but we part of that is wetland, so we work about 6.
Okay, all right, which is still a lot of work. She is passionate about adapting perennial agriculture to climate change and exploring intergenerational land sharing and mentorship. And Sarah Gransku, did I say that right?
Doesn't matter. It was mutated when my ancestors came from Norway. So Gransko, whatever.
All right, we'll just call you whatever. Gransco Greens in Kitchener. And Sarah actually lives around the corner from me, has invited me several times to her farm through the summer, and I said I would come and never did. So hopefully
Okay.
she doesn't hold that against me.
No.
And she runs an abundant all-season urban farm near downtown Kitchener, providing weekly shares through the winter and spring. And I'm guessing summer as well.
Mm,
No.
I'm flexible in the summer and I do a lot of preserving. So
All
the
right.
shares are just in
Winter and
spring.
okay, that's actually really great. All right, she grows
Mhm.
climate adapted greens and culturally significant crops while collaborating with local high schools. So thank you so much. It's great to have all of you here. And now that we have the land acknowledgement up, I do want to make sure that we acknowledge this great land that we're on, that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory now called Ontario, where the Organic Council of Ontario's membership resides. We are thankful to be able to work and live in these territories. We are grateful to the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. If you'd like to share the land where you are sharing space, your land acknowledgement in the chat, you can just put it down there. And if you want to learn more, you can actually visit native-land.ca or whos.land. All right, next slide there, Courtney. All right, so a little bit about the Organic Council. If you've not heard of us, we've been around for a little while. We are a not-for-profit industry association representing everyone in the organic value chain. So all the way from the farmers that we're going to be talking to today to the people eating the organic food and everything in between. So we're just very, very thankful that we're able to represent you, and we try to do the absolute best we can here with our very small but mighty team. And our job really is to strengthen the organic sector in Ontario by supporting those that play an important role in that. Next slide there, Courtney. All right. Just shout out, we are running our 45th Guelph Organic Conference, January 27th and 28th. Tickets are not on sale yet, but we are looking for sponsors and exhibitors, and we're actually looking for a volunteer coordinator as well. So just make sure you add that to your calendar, and we've got a whole new venue. We're going to be at the Guelph Farmers Market, and we're really looking forward to that change. So we hope to see you there. All right, and no, just we'll quit sharing the screen there. And feedback poll, we will be doing that at the end, so it will come up. So, all right, so let's get started today. Ezra, you look like you're having some good food there. I'm a little jealous. I haven't had anything yet to eat today. Good to see. Yeah, you're welcome to stay online and eat, make me hungry. So Sarah, Lynn, and Pat are all actually coming to us from within like I guess a few hour drive. So we're all in kind of the same area, but doing vastly different things. So, Lynn, you're grapes, you're all grapes, nothing but grapes. Is that right?
Oh, with the odd tomatoes and cucumbers for the restaurant here, but they're not certified because they're just shipped right into the restaurant here. So yeah,
Okay. All
it's
right.
it's all it's all wine grapes. Yeah.
All right. So very specific. So and Sarah, you say you're doing some different types of climate adapted greens and culturally significant crops. Can you tell us a little bit about what those are?
Well, I also do a lot of perennial growing as well, which I include in some of those culturally, historically significant crops. So I grow about over 400 different types of plants, essentially. In terms of the summer, my main sort of greens crops in terms of bulk are things like longevity vine, New Zealand spinach, sweet potato leaves, chia, red garnet amaranth, etc. And so I'm really trying, because I'm small, I'm on about maybe 1/8 or 1/9 of an acre. And so whenever I fill out those forms online, I get booted off because my acreage is so small. So what's really important to me is growing in layers. So actually maximizing the space by having things that run along the ground, like New Zealand spinach, and things that climb as well, like longevity vine and sweet potatoes. Things that will tolerate extreme heat, because in the polytunnel it can get to be like over 40 degrees in the summer.
Wow.
But also things that will tolerate some cold, like longevity vine will tolerate both. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of exciting to learn every year, kind of what these plants can adapt to. This year was extreme. I had a very good year for greens, in fact. And next year, I'm vowing not to grow any lettuce at all. My lettuce did okay, but it tends to harbor a lot of earwigs and slugs. The earwigs don't bother it. They're eating what's eating the lettuce. But yeah, so that's my next step, is to say no to lettuce.
All right. Just say no to lettuce. That's a
Yeah,
bumper
in the
sticker.
summer, in the summer, in the
Bumper
spring
sticker
block.
in the making.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, and Pat, how about you? What you I had like a really long list, but what are you growing? What did you grow this year? How did things go with all of that too?
Actually, it wasn't bad considering. One of the lines that I use about biodiversity is that, excuse me, something's bound to do really well and something's bound to fail, no matter what the weather conditions are. So every year it's always a little bit different. Um, the what was the question again?
I was asking what you were growing and how things had gone. Maybe I'll just break it out into what were you growing this year?
All right, all right. The some of the a lot of, well, my little tiny greenhouse, which is essentially a cold frame, blew away. So I did a lot of direct seeding and didn't have time to really get to it. So a lot of things I planted didn't actually do much. And a number of things are, they're just old perennials. They've been around for a while, so I just keep on, doing with the gooseberries and currants and some of the herbs. The and a number of things plant themselves. So I just decide whether they're fine where they are, or I should transplant them, like the borage and ground cherries. The tomatoes were really happy this year. They did really well, considering I had blight last year, so I moved them to a different spot. I grew up with raspberries, so I always have raspberries, but traditional raspberries, not the flora canes, and I started growing the primal canes. So the fall raspberries just kept going and going and going and going. So they did really well. Some of the crops that used to do really well, like the early red currants, don't like climate change. They don't like it hot too fast. Gooseberries. So some things are just not doing well. The haskaps are blooming in the fall because they're used to their boreal forest. So when things are too mild in the fall, so eventually I'm thinking they're going to not work. So it varies. And it's also, I do harvest things I didn't plant. So the violets, the native violets are edible flowers, and the leaves as well. And then I sell to some restaurants, so they they have different things they want to try different years. So, and I have a lot of black walnut likes to grow on the farm. The squirrels love planting them. So discovering what does really well under black walnut. And as it turns out, fiddleheads do. So
Oh,
things like that.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like some of my crops are like one day of picking and they're done for the year, like the spruce tips. And then others are weeks and weeks and weeks, like the raspberries were. So
Okay. Wow, that's a lot going on and a lot of different things. And you say you're selling to restaurants. Do you sell farm gate, markets, restaurants? Like, do you do all of that?
yeah, it's online store. I just have a couple of customers that drive up. We're kind of tucked away, so it's not an obvious um, that people drive by and say, "Oh, we have to check them out." You really can't find us, right? So which is kind of nice, but um, the I've had lovely restaurants, lovely chefs. My longest running restaurant's Quatrefoil, and in Dundas, which is where I'm located, taking the back road, it takes me 15 minutes to deliver. So another one right in Waterdown, and then also downtown Hamilton. So and I used to do more farmers markets, but now it's just Waterdown, which I
Oh,
share with Escarpment Kombucha, which are friends of my daughters. And if we get all the permits in place, they'll be living on the farm as well.
oh, okay. All right. Wow. Okay, so that's amazing. And so yeah, Waterdown Market is a place. And speaking of markets, Len, you had a market this year happening at Southbrook, right? And it was an organic market.
Yeah, it wasn't as successful as we had hoped. We had a couple of our local NFU members that came down. I was like, when they were planning it and I was involved, it was going to be this grand thing. And I think we actually just had two people uh, come down and sell their wares.
As the regular, yeah. And do you
Yeah,
want to share with us sort of, I've been to Southbrook now many times, I feel like, and it's an amazing operation that you have going on there. Do you want to share a little bit about all the different types of farming and grapes and then what you guys do on site there as well?
sure. Yeah. We have let me see, Vidal, Chardonnay, Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot, Syrah, Petit Verdot that we grow here. They all ripen at different times, and it was kind of crazy this year with the weather we had. We picked Chardonnay and Merlot in the same week, and Merlot is normally like 3 weeks later, 3 weeks to a month. And just because of the hot, dry weather we had, we were like, well, shit, let's just pick it. Like, well, it's ready, right? Like,
Yeah.
instead of the birds getting it, let's get it off. Some of the challenges we had black rot go through again this year, not as bad as last year. We got flooded out last July to the tune of like 500 mil of water sitting in the vineyard for over a week. So that led to a lot of black rot issues, and because we don't spray the manzate that we could, or others, conventional farmers can spray, like one spray, $80, don't worry about black rot. We got infected again, and we'll continue to get infected until I can get all the material out of the vineyard, which is almost impossible. So like in the spring, when we prune, all that wood has to come out and we burn it. So that's like, you're just adding more and more and more work on it. But we're committed here to not spraying that nasty stuff. So yeah, but other than that, we had a fantastic harvest. Like we were done, I think 3 weeks ago. So now we're just, we got all our field work is done. We're just working on spreading compost.
Yeah, and you guys do organic and biodynamic as
Yep.
well at
Yep.
yours.
Yeah,
And
we're certified organic, biodynamic, and we just received our ROC silver this year. So
okay, yeah, just the regenerative organic,
yeah.
for people don't know that, and they have different levels depending on what you're meeting with that.
Yeah.
And so okay, so we usually do at this point, now we have a little bit of background. I've asked you a couple of questions. I have a lot more questions that I can ask, but I want to open it up to just a coffee chat. And yeah, everybody have their coffee. Feel free to come on, and if you have some questions, you can drop them in the chat box here, or just raise your hand, and you can ask the farmers anything you want to know. And if there's nobody here, I've definitely got some more questions that for all of you. So, but we'll leave it first to make sure that that if we have any other questions. So I don't see anything coming up right away. So, all right.
Yeah,
So,
I have a question.
oh yeah, let's do it.
For my perennial growers here. We're trying to establish native species in the vineyard. So we had brought in like 3,000 rudbeckia plugs this year. Um, Blue vervain, that kind of thing. And the crazy thing is, it grows fantastic out of my driveway. And as soon as I planted it in any kind of cultivated soil, they struggle.
Mm.
So what am I doing wrong here?
Well, the thing is I do grow and cultivate it because I want the growth from the greens. So I do a little differently than some people do with herbs. I'm not familiar with growing those so much because I only do things that are edible. They may be edible, just not familiar with that. So I think I'll pass that off to Pat, but I actually get good luck in rich cultivated soil with a few exceptions of things that prefer poor soil. Yeah.
Maybe
So I don't know.
I don't have. I planted the Rebecca. I planted some of those before, and I have a couple of plants left. They don't, but the ones that it does really well, and it likes to be moved around, and it's quite happy with better soil when it gets moved around, is the native bergamot. So that
Yes.
and it.
I love it. Move over, oregano. Your leaves are too big and spindly.
I also use it to, we just had a lovely, chat with the deer coming over on the yard this morning, and I found that if I plant it on either side of the zucchini, they don't notice the zucchini is there. So
Yeah.
there are some native plants that, do really well, and almost they colonize the area they're in. The thing about bergamot is that it will die out of it, or at least become feeble if it stays in the same place for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
does that help you at all, Lynn?
I'll keep trying.
Yeah,
Just
and this
plant-
is and Lynn, I mean, like he's mentioning these plugs. It's actually part of a research project, part of the organic science cluster, in partnership with Dr. Vasseur and the lab at Brock University. So I think they've targeted a certain types of plants for testing in the initial phases. But can you change over, Lynn? Like, is that
This is
something?
an expansion on Liette's work. So like we did the section over 101 where we had the cosmos and that kind of thing. And then when we replanted along the driveway here, like we ripped out all the grapes, planted new grapes. And at the same time, then we planted all the native species in between the plants as well.
Oh,
But I didn't, like, even with irrigation, I didn't have a great take on it. So
Yeah. So anise hyssop is a really good one also when it gets dry, and it won't take over. Like I find bergamot sometimes will take over, but anise hyssop can tolerate both wet and dry in my experience.
taking over is fine.
But it will self-seed.
Mhm.
For me, it's an issue, but it's a good one, I think, for me, but I'm not sure if Pat has had much experience with that one.
Mary Lou says in here that some varieties are biennial. So
Mhm.
is that possibly that you might just see that might be better next year?
I'm
True.
hoping.
I hope.
Yeah.
And all right. So we have a question from, I don't know if I'm going to say your name right, Barika and Robert. So for grape growing, if you don't spray for bugs, how do you deal with beneficial insects like wasps, hornets that decide to eat grapes?
We don't get a lot of, we'll get a lot of yellow jackets actually, like right when we're right about to harvest that start puncturing the fruit. I don't worry about those. The beneficials are what we're actually trying to encourage. So that's the reason we're doing all the native planting under the grapes is to get those beneficial wasps in the vineyard to take out my arch nemesis, the grape leafhopper. So we're trying to get native flowering plants in the vineyard to encourage native bugs to go after the grape leafhopper.
Yeah, and I mean the damage that I've seen that you showed me on
Mm,
your leaves there definitely needs something
yeah.
to help out with that. It definitely is a big issue.
Fortunately, we can still ripen, so that's
Yeah, yeah. And like this year we had, kind of a early summer and then like this very dry summer in the middle and then rain like
mhm.
at the end like I find and I'm a beekeeper so it was a bit of a tough year for us because flowers weren't, blooming, they weren't producing nectar the normal way. I didn't even get a golden rod crop of honey. Like there was no nectar at the end of the season, which is the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
So we definitely saw it. What did that season affect you guys overall? I know, Len, you said it sounds like things were a bit compressed in terms of your harvesting, but like yields, things that didn't come up. Did you guys see those effects of this?
Things were lighter. Like the fruit was lighter. Like we all our rows have drip irrigation, but there comes a point in time where you have to say, okay, enough is enough. Like where you got to look at the dollar value. I'm going to spend, $30,000 in irrigation to irrigate uh, my fruit, but am I going to get that $30,000 back in fruit? So we cut it off mid-August. Actually, we were just like, okay, and grapes actually like to be stressed, so they do. They
Like,
like if
please stress me out. I
no,
taste better.
Yeah.
if you're watering, you're going to get roots like this. If you stop watering, your roots are going to go deep.
Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. Yeah. How about you, Pat? Did you have any issues with the unusual summer?
Yeah, every year is different. So there's always something. I don't irrigate. I did that on purpose with um, my 22-year experiment. How sustainable am I if I have to irrigate? Now, because we have the wetland and we have our soil type, it's not the sandy. It's not terribly sandy, so it does retain moisture. And with using mulch, then I don't need to. But some of the, some of the annuals, fine, they didn't mind it at all, and then others just didn't produce at all. So that yeah, there's issues with that. Um, it also I had too many apples, but I planted apple trees mostly for myself, but it turns out they're super productive. So I have to do something to make them more presentable for other people at this point because it ends up being too much. But the spring made it a bumper crop. The summer was too hot and dry, and some of the heirloom varieties I have with the English heritage into them are susceptible to calcium deficiency if it's too dry. So that made them even more unsellable this year. But the bits and pieces of the apples that you could get were delicious. So it's, as I say, every year is the same. And then there's things like the one Asian pear variety every year. It's amazing.
Okay. So
It,
that's a safe bet. Asian pear in your
yeah,
area.
yeah. The one variety called Kenko, and it's just or I'm trying to remember what some of the Japanese customers it was another name that they use, but it's very russeted. It's always juicy. It's always tasty, and it doesn't matter what conditions I have.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I didn't eat earlier, and now I want a pear, a big pear. How about you, Sarah? Were you feeling that the season was different than previous seasons, or?
Well, it was very, very different, largely because I was planting a 200-foot fedge along a retaining wall at a high school. In addition to the original food forest plans, there is no water source there, and I don't drive. So I had to fill my bike trailer twice a day with jugs to take, and it's doing very well. So I got my exercise in addition to manually watering um, Gransko greens. So pure exhaustion and a little bit frustrated when people would say, you got to take care of yourself. You're working too hard. Like, you want to take the hose? And so there are various reasons I don't have, soaker hoses, et cetera. It's just not practical here. But I did find that I think September, October was the best ever. It was absolutely so abundant. I was preserving full time for 2 months, staying up till 2 a.m. This year, included in my shares are a lot of frozen, dried, and cured products as well. My perennials, because I planted a lot of them last year, finally did well this year. And yeah, but my basil started to get downy mildew, third week of August, like it always does. And then it came back. It was absolutely crazy. So I've never had such good basil. So the summer was really, really hard on a physical, on an emotional level, and our water bill is very high. And I learned a lot about what kinds of crops I want to be growing next year and what really worked. And those are all really valuable lessons. And then I think also just kind of gradually shifting my clients. So I've had a lot of them for now 5 years, and shifting away from the succulent, tender salad greens into these more diverse crops that actually are sustainable and work where we are here in an urban environment and with the changing climate. And so, I had some regulars who were really into it. And, I felt like I'd finally reached that place where feeling like Gransko Greens is definitely a collective endeavor. I do it by myself for the most part, but I mean, it's also the work of my clients in bending and shifting and learning and growing. Yeah. And so, yeah, I would say best ever in terms of yield, hardest ever by far.
They had to work it. All right. So now that the snow is on the ground, and so I don't know, if that means more work or less work for you. I'm gonna throw this one to Len. What's happening now between, if you've harvested, you guys don't do any ice. Do you guys do any?
No, no ice,
No.
man.
Okay, so you guys are pretty much done in terms of being out in the field for the season, or are you still got work to do?
Well, it depends if I actually want to do it. No. We have I'm gonna take a wild guess. I didn't measure it off, but probably 300 cubic yards of compost to spread yet. But I can only do that on days like I wanted to get out there this morning when it was frozen, but of course things didn't work out that way. Because with the ground being so wet now and I'm loading that side dresser up, you're putting probably 2 ton in there, then I'm going to undo all the work that we just did in building that soil back up. I do not want to do any compaction, so it's kind of, okay, we'll do this, and I only have 1 staff on for the rest of the year, so we have our property is surrounded by bush, and we're actually going to push the bush back. We haven't done it in about 6 years. We have to push it back a little bit to create more airflow in the vineyard. So that's a big big job for us for over the winter.
Okay. And do you guys, are you ever like growing plants indoors to like expand or anything like that through the winter into spring?
The actual grapes, no,
Yeah.
the actual grapes come from Washington State because they are certified clean plant material. In Vitis and grapes for wine, there's a virus called red blotch, and they have to, well, you don't have to have them certified. I want them certified clean, because what can happen is what's happened here in the past. You go ahead and you rip out a block and you plant 5 acres, and then 2 years down the road, you're like, shit, I'm in the same boat. So, you wait another 3 years and then you rip it out. And, each grape plant takes 4 years to produce and costs you like $30. So it's not,
So you bring them in from Washington and then
yeah,
you haven't had issues. So
yeah.
no growing
No, any
outside.
of the wildflowers and tomatoes and cukes and whatever are done at a greenhouse just down the road from us. A friend of mine, he gets them started for us, and then we bring the plugs in and plant them here.
Okay. All right. So a little bit of you'll be out there with, it sounds like probably big machinery trying to move things back and getting some manure out, and then you're
Yeah.
done. You're done
Well,
then.
then January 15th we start pruning. So that's
Okay.
there's 85,000 plants on the property. Each one has to be touched by hands. Well, because you got to prune and then you got to tie. So each one of them before bud break has to be touched at least 3 times. So like I said, there's 85,000 plants. So
Wow.
it keeps us busy.
You need some volunteers to come out and help you.
Sure.
You might get some volunteers here. You never know. How about you, Pat? What do you got going on now?
Mostly I'm always surprised about how short the days are and thinking, well, I'll go out and do something, get distracted, and then it's too dark. But there's pruning to do as well. And it's also because things are planted, there's a lot of interplanting and all mixed up. So it's a lot of walking around and deciding what am I going to do differently next year. So to start off with, and then pruning and see how that goes, because sometimes it gets more done than other years.
All right. And do you do starts then in your, I guess the greenhouse that blew away?
There are just a few things I'll actually start just in a sunny room in the farmhouse itself for the really early stuff, and then the yeah, it's that's part of it too, the planning of what am I going to grow that's direct seeded, what isn't. And yeah, we might end up with something that's more useful as a greenhouse just to do starts ahead of time.
Yeah. And how about you, Sarah?
Oh boy. So yeah, my main season has been kind of gearing up throughout the last few weeks. I take off where other CSA shares end off, which is usually somewhere around the beginning of November. And this year I have 7 subscription offers. So it's been a lot of admin. So I'm behind on planting out my winter seedlings, but I'm working on it. So basically I'm still preserving from summer harvest. And I am again up until 2 a.m., but planting microgreens, etc., and answering emails and questions. I've had to increase my capacity this year because my oldest, who is my resident groundhog, he probably eats the same amount in a day that most of my clients do in like 1 or 2 weeks. And he's kind of my mascot because he's the reason that I do this. He's always loved to eat leaves from the garden and he's very supportive. But he's turning 18. And so that means that my farming income, which is essentially low income subsidies from the government for my children, reduces significantly. I do not have any farm grants available to me because I am so small. And so I've considered that my farm funding. And my youngest turns 8, so that's reduced by about 70%. So I'm not sure how it's going to go moving forward. And if I'm going to survive this increase in capacity. But what I'm doing differently this year is I'm actually tracking everything so I can measure what I produce from this teeny tiny property. So it's exciting. I've got some new clients on board, and again, I'm offering more things. And so I get to really see those clients that are at the core of my vision for moving forward, those really flexible clients who are open-minded and who have an appetite for this kind of thing. And then there's others who just want a smaller amount and want to be part of the party, and they're wonderful too. So yeah, it's an intense time, but it's an exciting time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Would you ever consider moving, like expanding into like another space,
I
or
can hardly manage what I
yeah.
have. I mean, I have grow lights over the whole house, and I use every single inch of my property. And then I'm also at managing a food forest at KCI, and also have plants in a high school greenhouse, which is KCI, and I volunteer with the Green Industries program there. So I actually need help here because it's difficult for me to even manage this small property with how I
Yeah.
use it.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, it sounds like we maybe we need to put together a volunteer board for people that can come help people on farms in the summertime, in the winter time for Lynn, or not summer, but in the anyways. I take back the time of year. It sounds like you could use help year round in
Mhm.
in your different adventures. All right, I see some conversation side chatter here, but I will just mention it. Someone was asking what type of machine Lynn is using for manure compost side discharger, and he says he's bought an Anovi from Italy, and they got it through a supplier in Quebec. Who is the supplier? Do you know, Lynn?
I don't remember. It was 2 years ago. I can't remember what I had for breakfast, but my tractor, I found it, and then my tractor dealer here in Niagara did all the legwork and whatever and had it shipped over. So
Okay. All right. So speaking of tools, tractors, fun machines, what tool, machinery, hack, whatever you want to call it, something that you use in your garden, or not in your garden, but on your in your farming, would you, recommend to people to use that's actually been a game changer for you? And Lynn, I guess I can start with you, maybe.
anytime I can mechanize, I will. And I know that sounds horrible, but labor is so expensive. So like I've said, if robots, like there are robot tractors now for vineyards, if they weren't so expensive, I would easily get one. The biggest game changer for us this year was I bought one. It's a tying gun. So in the spring, once we prune, like our canes are sitting up like this, and then they're wrapped around the fruiting wire, and then you have to put a tie on the end here. So what we were using jute to tie it off. And when I was at the fruit and veggie show, one of one of the fellows I know, he said, "Oh, I brought in these tying guns," and I'm a 56-year-old, not so in shape guy, and I'm not that fast of a tire. I was like three-quarters of a row ahead of my staff with this gun. So like you want to talk about time saver. It's the gun itself is probably I think was $800. But if you can blast through your vineyard in, 4 days as opposed to 4 weeks, that's a lot of money saved.
Yeah. It's a tie saver, not a tie
Yeah.
tie saver.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have an oxalic acid vaporizer. I spent about 800 on. That was a huge game changer for me in the winter because I have to like visit all the hives to
Mm.
deal with varroa mites, and oh boy, I love that machine. It's the best $800 I've ever spent on anything that I can think of. So how about you, Pat? Do you have anything that that's been a huge help to you?
No. The if I the only thing I recommend is the just mulch, the and plant-based mulch that we have, uh, that just something that breaks down. It just makes such a difference to the plants that I put it around, not just for um, the saving on moisture, but it also the soil's just so much nicer. And one year when my niece was getting married in Britain, so I got half the zucchini planted and mulched, and the other half didn't. When I came back, the mulched zucchini was 3 times the size of the unmulched one. So it's, you know, I would like, sort of lust after various machinery, but yeah, too small to justify getting something.
Yeah. I saw a message come through about compost tea, but it disappeared.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and ask it anyways. Anybody use compost tea in their operations? Yeah.
Ew. It,
Pat's a yes, Lynn's a yes, and
um,
Sarah's a
a lot of composting. I compost everything on site and nothing leaves, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not a regular user like it certainly with biodynamics, but it's just I have tried it, but it's not getting myself organized enough to do it on a regular basis. But it's something I'm probably going to have to do with the apples.
Yeah. And is that just so you can get a better fruit?
Yeah, I have to do a lot of research on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Lynn? You probably have like a whole setup there, right?
Yeah, we have my own kind of makeshift brewer. So we have a 1-ton tote and an aerator and a heater. So we'll actually do the compost tea. We'll do willow tea. We'll do um oh, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, all the BD preps. Those aren't brewed, of course. Those are stirred. Um, chamomile tea, horsetail tea. But the compost tea, yeah, that just comes like straight out of uh well, I was gonna say my manure pile, but we actually use Prep 500 and I just throw it in come on, the little mesh baggie, and then that goes into the 1-ton tote.
Okay. Okay.
So that's part of our regular spray program.
All right. How often are you putting that on then?
The teas,
Yeah.
depends on what it's for. So like if like the compost tea, if I see that like I have like a magnesium deficiency or something like that, then we'll give it a shot because we're not using any artificial fertilizers either. So that's my only way to get a foliar feed on there. And then the other ones are used for, stress and healing in the vineyard.
Okay. So it just kind of depends on the what's happening.
Yep.
Really inform that. All right, Sarah, I don't want to forget you in the hack or tool or something that
Sure.
you really appreciate.
Well, how about composting? My tool is buried pails and buried garbage cans because I do a ton of composting here. Oh, and hardware cloth because I have to keep out the rats out of everywhere. I've come to know a lot about their behavior, and they are diggers. So yeah, the hardware cloth is really vital. Bottom of cold frames around, digging down in the ground. But the buried garbage cans with holes and pails in every single bed, I will have buried pails. And so I do in-ground vermicomposting, all of our kitchen waste, and I sometimes take waste from apartment dwellers, is pickled first with the bokashi method in buckets, and it is mixed with the coir that I use for growing microgreens. And that's my browns essentially. And the microgreens themselves are my form of cover cropping, especially I do a lot of like a summer pea, which is bushier than your typical speckled pea. And that helps to, of course, fix nitrogen. And so so I throw that all into the ground, and then I have some above ground. I have a couple of hot bins as well that I use for disease materials. And then I even have some of my cold frames will alternate. And in the winter, there'll be a receptacle for my microgreen roots and house compost. And then in the spring, it's actually pretty well ready to plant because of the red wigglers. So yeah, for me, it's those buckets, pails, and garbage cans. Those are my really valuable tools here. And soil blockers for my seedlings.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
actually a lot of hacks right there.
There you go.
Oh yeah. All right. Now, if you could ask Len, other questions about in terms of growing these native plants. We've been working on this project for a while, for not a while, but well, it's going to be a 5-year project. These native plants as we're putting this in. And I say we because Oko is also supporting this research project, not me personally, but if you are I think because over the long term, trying to grow mass amounts of these native plants has been expensive, and then actually getting some of these plants in has been a little bit harder. Looking for seeding, what would you recommend? Like Len, am I right that we were discussing this kind of earlier on in the season? Maybe it's not as much of an issue now in terms of the overall costs of these plugs and how many were surviving for the research project. Is that still like an issue that you guys have been struggling with?
The so I'm the beneficiary of all of that, right? So all my plugs that I I harvest the seed from the work that the university and Dr. Vasseur is doing, right? So that seed is then I bring to the greenhouse, and then that is grown into plugs. But I don't, excuse me, I'm not sure like which ones actually prefer to be direct seeded. And there's because a lot of, up until a few years ago, these were considered weeds, right? So they're not like, oh, I really want to get my rudbeckia. I don't know. They're like, I got to get some Roundup to get that rudbeckia out of my driveway, right? That was the thinking. So, and like I said, it seems to grow better at my house because I did, borrow a few plugs to plant at my house. And then now they've self-seeded and they're growing out of my asphalt driveway, but yet I can't get them to grow under the vines here. Like I'm just wondering if I'm treating them too nice here.
Yeah, you gotta run them over with your tractor wheels a few times or something.
Well, yeah, asphalt can sometimes hold moisture
Yeah.
in my experience. I don't know if it was dry. Yeah.
Like a little crack in my driveway.
Uh-huh.
Up
Yeah.
comes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, just kind of some ideas trying to think about doing large scale native plant interplantings and dealing with pests within vineyards, and really exciting research to actually see how that'll look out over the next 5 years. And Lynn's very much involved in that. And I love that Pat and Sarah, that you guys are just like very different things you're growing, different times of the year, very community oriented. Sarah, I love that, Pat, you're getting your food into restaurants and people get to actually see it there. And at Southbrook, Lynn didn't mention this, but they have a beautiful store, and they do wine tastings and other events out there. Am I missing anything there, Lynn, that you do there? But it's actually very
Or you can
modern,
just come and get a vineyard tour by me.
and you can go get a vineyard from Lynn, and it's worth it. You guys are like amazing, and they've been huge proponents in terms of the organic industry, and yeah, so definitely some knowledge to be shared there. So thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to just mention that this week We have a couple of other events that are happening, and Courtney, I don't think you had the slide for the events that are coming up this week. Maybe I don't know if Sammy has that, but we actually have um, on Wednesday at noon, we're going to have the Organic Task Force report from COA, the Canadian Organic Alliance. Katie Fetz from COG will be going through that, and there's some actually amazing information that has come out of that report in terms of environmental considerations with organic farming, and then also looking at profit margins, which was some really great news to see how organic farming actually is super beneficial in terms of long-term sustainability of a farm. We didn't know that, did we? Yes, we did. But it's good to have that data actually as a research metric there. And did you find that slide there, Courtney? I saw you've come on, but and then on we actually have this week the innovation. I'm not seeing that actually on my calendar here. What day is the innovation panel happening, Courtney? I'm trying to do this up from memory right now.
It's the
So
26th.
the 26th. Oh yes, that's next week. So next
Wednesday.
week we have an innovation panel, and we have Omafa will be joining us. Sarah, if you can come up with some cool research projects that you can do, you might be able to get some funding from Omafa.
I looked
And
into it. It's not relevant to small urban farms. It's just
yeah,
not. Yeah, it
just
isn't. Nothing is.
yeah. Yeah. I have you though. You're in my brain now, so
Glad.
I'll start chewing on that. And then we have Food Cycler talking about kind of the whole compost idea. So Food Cycler will be joining us and talking about some of those self-driving tractors or tractors and innovation that do cool things. Haggerty Robotics will actually be joining us on that talk as well. And then microbes. Lynn, we met greens. What is it?
James
Velocity
Brown.
Green.
Velocity
Velocity
green. Yeah.
Greens. Yeah, so they're actually going to be joining us on that innovation panel too to talk about microbes that they have for soil. And you've had some really good luck with their products as
Yeah,
well.
I'm working with their um like their supplier now, like their lab and sorry, excuse me, they're now working with the University of Saskatchewan and Cornell on my black rot issue here.
Okay.
So we're working on something that's naturally going to eat my black rot.
That's really cool. I have discovered that myself with even growing microgreens, that mycorrhiza can fight mycorrhiza, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, so hopefully you can join us for that as well. And then in December we have another farmers coffee chat. And so I think, are we still looking for some farmers, Courtney, for that month?
Yeah, always looking for farmers.
Always looking for farmers. So this has just been really nice for us to be able to get people together and ask those questions, and just kind of this more casual learning style. So if you know someone who might be a great person to have on the panel, and we do have an honorarium of $50. So Sarah, that's not going to get you through this next season, but hopefully we'll help out.
Something, thank you.
And we appreciate your knowledge. So we'll be looking for people for December, January, February, and March to join us on these panels. And Courtney's put up the feedback poll there. Did you find this helpful? Would you like more like this in the future? If you have any feedback from us, the only way we can get better is if you let us know how to get better. So we really appreciate the feedback that you can give us, and if you loved it, also that's great feedback for us to hear too, because we know we're on the right track. So whatever it is, if you can do a screenshot at that QR code, and I don't know if we can drop that into the chat if people want to go to that link and then give us some feedback there. So thank you so much, everyone. And we wish you an absolute amazing rest of your November. And good luck to all of our farmers here who are still farming and those that are going to be planning. And we'll see you hopefully in future webinars next month. And Lynn is actually going to be joining us at the conference on January 20th.
Oh, now you made it public. I haven't even committed.
I have. Oh, right now, yeah, it's there now. He's going to be talking about field margin app. Is that right? Field margin app
Yeah.
that he uses and he's had some great luck with. So on a panel with like some other people that are using different apps too. So thanks so much for joining and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.